arcade room, don't you?
He's calling in.
Yeah, there's been a whole bunch of
I
stuff.
try not to buy any because I like it.
going on. I tried to.
I just kind of steal it from this place or that place.
Call the meeting to order, and roll call, please.
Mayor Breeden,
Here.
Councilwoman Stevens,
Here.
Councilman Martin,
Here.
Councilman Maurer,
Here.
Councilman Heyman.
Here.
Okay.
5 present, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. And please vote then. Okay, with that, we are going to go into closed session, and we will be back out at 6. Thank you. Everybody, we were running a little late. We're back out. Okay, we will come back into regular session, and Lauren, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Please stand, face the flag, hand over your heart, and repeat after me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing, please.
Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for the opportunity we have a meeting in this great land, and we're thankful for this community that we are able to enjoy. We pray that Thy Spirit will be with us this night as we discuss the obligations that we have to serve this city, that we might do that well. Please watch over us and bless us with Thy wisdom. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Thank you. City Attorney's report, please.
Certainly, Madam Mayor. The board met in closed session to discuss real property negotiations for the property identified as APN 067-040-12-004. The City Council received a report from the agency negotiator Strand. No reportable action took place. Madam Mayor, that concludes the report.
Thank you, sir. Okay, the next item on the agenda is public comment. Persons wishing to address the council on matters that are within the council's jurisdiction and do not already appear in the agenda may do so at this time. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the City Council may not take action on any item that does not appear in the agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes. The public comment section of the agenda is limited to a total of 1 hour. Each speaker is asked to provide his or her name. Is there anyone who would like to come up for public comment?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. Richard Wagner, 408 South Lincoln. Again, I want to thank the city, the community, the council, everybody for helping out and putting on a great event last weekend with the motocross, with the viewfinders. What I came up here for mainly tonight is, again, traffic. There was a notice put out yesterday by the Ridgecrest Police Department that says, please drive safely and be courteous and observant in road work areas. Presently, work is being conducted in the 100 to 400 blocks of East Upjohn Avenue. Help ensure our street department employees get home for dinner tonight with their families. Have a great week, Ridgecrest. It's very important that they do get home to their families, but the onus is not on the drivers completely. If they're not properly putting their cones out, putting signage out, the drivers don't see it in time, and they can potentially harm the workers. I just want to say it again. I went over there to church. As soon as you turn the corner off of Gateway, immediately there's cones, but there's been no warning up to that. It's ridiculous. We need to have cones and signage out before the work happens, not at the work site. You need to prepare. You know, they say give distance for following when you're driving, room to stop. We're not giving them room to stop with these cones that are placed right at the work. We need to give them room to stop and to avoid the workers and the work zone. Again, I'm going to continue to repeat this until the city, the streets, and IWV can figure out how to properly put up a road construction area. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Barb, can we make sure that they're abiding by it so that...
After the gentleman that just spoke made comments before, I went out and watched for the next 2 weeks. They were putting out a lot more signs. The one on Upjohn itself in particular was the fact that they had plenty of cones out, at least that this is what I understand, but that the vehicles were driving between the cones and into the new slurry. It wasn't that they didn't know where to go. They just didn't want to stay where they were supposed to. This is why we asked them to put out the notice on Facebook.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Manuel Fierro, better well known around town as Coach Manny. I live at 920 West Purdue. I'm here representing High Desert Leaping Lizards in their ACES after-school program. High Desert Leaping Lizards operates after-school programs in 3 of the Sierra Sand schools, Fowler, Inyokern, and Pierce, with enrollment that exceeds over 230 students. The state preschool program is also ran by HDLL. In 2002, California voters passed into law Proposition 49, the After-School Education and Safety Program, which provides funding for before and after-school programs across the state. With the after-school programs across the state, children are less likely to have to go to an empty home. Parents are more likely to keep their jobs, and most importantly, juvenile delinquency is more likely to go down. Throughout my 9 years of working for this program, I personally had several people ask me, how long have you worked in daycare? Working in the after-school program is far from daycare. Because we are a state-funded program, the after-school program must align itself with the state curriculum standards as schools across the state has to. With that being said, we begin the day with a social-emotional learning curriculum. Next, we do a physical education curriculum called Spark. Spark is not the same PE that you and I are used to doing. Instead, we play games such as placing 30 cones on the ground, and half the students have to pick them up, and the other half has to replace them. And these games are designed to get their little hearts racing while they're having fun while doing it. After Spark, they're served a healthy snack. Then they do our science, technology, engineering, art, and math curriculum, and we call that STEAM. In the past, we've made miniature golf courses. Well, we've learned about momentum and Newton's laws of motion. We made elephant toothpaste and homemade lava lamps as we learned about chemical reactions, and much, much more. After STEAM, we offer homework help and then an enrichment such as music, dance, or cooking while we wait for the remainder of the students to be picked up. So as you can see, we are not a daycare. Instead, we are a structured extension of the school day. Over the years, with minimum wages going up, insurance costs going up, our funding remains stagnant across the state. Many programs are shutting the door and are forced to lay off employees. It has been determined that if changes were not made, that within 2 years, our company would not be able to sustain, and we would have to close our program down. Because we're contractors of Sierra Sands, we cannot charge the parents for our program, but this year the Sierra Sands School Board had approved asking parents for a contribution amount of $100 per school year, or $80 for students on free or reduced lunch. This is where we need your help and the help of the Ridgecrest citizens. Please go to www.saveafterschool.com and sign the petition to help increase the funding. Finally, to get a better view of our after-school program, I invite all the city council members, our mayor, and all of the citizens to attend our Lights On After School event. That's going to be held next Friday, October 25th. This event is a nationwide event and showcases the after-school programs across the nation. This year, our theme is called The Day in the Life of an After-School Student. During our event, parents and adults will be going through each activity, from Sparks, STEAM, and enrichment activities. We'll even throw in homework, but don't worry. It's really the puzzles that the students work on when they're finished with their homework. Our event begins at 4 o'clock, and we look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Manny. I know that I've been to, I think this would be my 4th year of coming to your events, and I'm very impressed with all the work that's done by your organization. So I encourage everybody to go out and see what's done and then respond as you ask.
Where is it at? One more time.
So we have 3 sites. We have Feller, which is the site that I supervise at. We have Pierce, and we have Inyo-Kern. And if I can leave some invitations for everybody, I don't know how to.
We'd be happy to take them. Thank you.
And again, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Okay, seeing no other public comment. That is correct. I don't see any. Okay. Council announcements? Any council? I see no council announcements. Okay, discussion and action items. Grant acceptance for California Department of Alcoholic Beverages, ABC, grant from the Office of Traffic Safety through the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Ryan, if you'd like to come up and talk to us.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council, and the community. Thanks for having me tonight. As you said, Madam Mayor, I'm here to discuss a grant that we are awarded by the California Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control. They're partnering with the Office of Traffic Safety and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. We put in for this grant in early September, and we were notified recently that the City of Ridgecrest was awarded the amount of $11,700 to do alcoholic beverage control operations in the City of Ridgecrest. The police department would be administering this grant with reimbursement through the City of Ridgecrest Finance Department under agreements and MOUs that are still pending and also based on the resolution. The strong emphasis for this is to deter minor and juvenile access to alcohol. So the grant period started October 1st, 2019 and goes till October 31st, 2020. During this grant time frame, we plan on conducting at least 2 impact operations. And impact is Informed Merchants Preventing Alcohol-Related Crime Tendencies. It's a program, an education program that ABC put together in 1984. Basically gets us out to all of the licensees in the community to educate them on how their stores should look, the type of signage they need to have in their business. Are they an eyesore with graffiti? And basically, the idea is to educate them, not necessarily issue any type of citations. It's just to make them a better licensee. So we plan on doing 2 of those to 100% of the licensed establishments within the city, and I believe there's approximately 65 in our jurisdiction. We'd also like to conduct at least 4 shoulder tap operations within the city of Ridgecrest and 4 minor decoy operations within the city of Ridgecrest. Shoulder tap is when these underage decoys wait outside the establishments that sell alcohol, and as somebody comes up, they let them know, hey, we are 17 years old, can you go in and buy me some beer? So it's essentially, shoulder tap, can you do this for me? And we see if people actually buy the youngsters alcohol. The minor decoy is they are actually going into the stores, convenience stores, restaurants, and ordering an alcoholic beverage. And if they are served, then also an issue. So those are those operations. During this grant period, we'd also be issuing press releases regarding the grant and the grant activities. We've done these grants in the past. We haven't had one for many years, but statistics that we have at the agency has shown that it did drop juvenile-related crimes, batteries, DUIs, traffic collisions, assaults. So we're really looking forward to this, and we're very happy that we were granted this amount of $11,700. It is a fully reimbursable grant, no matching required by the city. Initially, we will have to pay, but the reimbursements come after each reporting period. The money is already set aside for us to get back. We just have to send in the reports of what we're doing.
Is there any questions? Is there any questions from the public? Okay, motion?
I move approval.
Second.
Five ayes, motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the next item. Award a construction contract to S&H Civil Works to construct the crosswalk improvements HSIP project in the amount of $177,265 plus an additional $8,863.25 for the 5% construction contingency and allocate, where are we, $22,628.25 for Measure V for additional city funding of the project and authorize the city manager to execute the contract. Sir.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, before we kick this off, I do have a correction to make here. I do have a correction that needs to go into the record for the staff report and resolution. I've got one number that got away from me there, so I've got a number I have to change. So I've got revised staff reports and resolutions to hand out to you. I'll go over the number that we have to change. Just had a misplaced number there. Want to make sure that the finance director knows what's going on, what we're asking.
I hope it wasn't the $0 that the city puts in.
So,
I can see it wasn't. Okay.
And Heather, I'll give you a copy when I'm done with this. So now the subject matter and in the resolution heading, the numbers are correct. What I had to change is in the staff report under action requested, I had to change that number to the actual amount that I want to award to Civil Works. I had to change that to the actual bid amount as to what we want to award to the contractor. And the same is true in the resolution under item 1. I needed to change that number to the actual award amount to the contractor. So with that, let me go ahead and get started here. We're trying to award a construction project to S&H Civil Works to construct some crosswalks. We've got 7 crosswalks that are HSIP projects, grant program. And what we're trying to do is is get this awarded tonight with your approval. A little history. This project was originally bid some time ago. We had to reject the bids. The bids were too high. We went to Caltrans, and they recommended that we bundle this HSIP project with the Bowman all-way stop HSIP project, and that's exactly what we did. We pared the projects down in terms of scope and improvements to try to make them fit a budget, and we re-advertised the project. In this case, we only had one bidder on this project, and so we had our consultant check the bidder out, check his credentials to make sure he complied to the DBE requirements, and everything checked out just fine. So the consultant recommended awarding this project to S&H Civil Works. So October 1, we opened bids, and Civil Works bid was $177,265. We have a total funding budget of $195,500. What we're asking for is a 5% contingency to be added to this, as well as additional Measure V funds to backfill the project to be able to award this project. So we had one additive bid item to the project, which we felt that we should have you consider. Staff recommends going ahead and awarding the additive bid item number 1, and that's for rectangular rapid flashing beacons. I might mention that the improvements that we're proposing for you tonight are the industry's standards for improving crosswalks at uncontrolled intersections for schools. This project entails advanced signage, advanced street markings, diamonds that are placed in the lane of travel in advance of the crosswalks, as well as a ladder style of striping in the street. And we're also recommending this additive bid item of the rapid flashing beacons. Those are activated by the pedestrian or child at the crosswalk. They can press that button, and it'll activate the rapid flashing beacon. There's timers on those, so it's set for around school time, so that you just don't have any pedestrian that can go up and so you can set a timer on them or not. So it's available to any pedestrian, but sometimes those do get abused, so you do have the ability to control the usage of those around school hours. So what we're asking you to do tonight is to award this construction contract to S&H Civil Works tonight. We're asking you to backfill the project in the tune of $22,628.25 with Measure V funding. I've been in consult with the administrative staff regarding the use of Measure V funding, and we've determined that, we recollect that Measure V is not only for streets but also to backfill as local match and local participation for our grant programs, much the same as what we've done on the east side of Downs, our CMAC Sunland project, and so it's very similar of backfilling or local match or local participation for our grant programs. So with that, Honorable Mayor, I'm available for any questions.
Questions from council?
Can I add one more?
Certainly.
May I add one more comment, please? One thing to remember is that Measure V is not only for repairing our roads, but making our system safe, and this does that.
Thank you.
Lauren, you mentioned that we could either have the timer set on these flashers or not. Is staff's plan on having the timer set for before school, after school, and not like 10 o'clock at night, someone go push it?
Yeah, we'd want to discuss that with our, we would want to huddle up and make that determination. As at this point, we have not made that determination, but we'd like to maybe observe and make a decision. Certainly get input from our traffic engineer who's also going to be our construction manager on this project. So we'll be seeking advice from the traffic engineer as well as from administrative staff.
But if you set those for a certain time, are they flashing the whole time or just every time?
No, it'd just be at the time in which it would be activated. So the system would not be able to be activated in those non-school hour periods.
I understand that, but say at 7:30 in the morning they turn on, and then at 3:30 in the afternoon they turn off. Does that have to be pushed each time someone goes through?
Yeah, the time would be that during school activities or school arrivals or departures, the system would be energized to where the flashing beacons could be activated. Okay. And beyond the peak periods of drop-off and pick-up, the system would be deactivated.
Well, and I would say that for some of them closer to like the skate park or something, that you may want to have that one not just be for school hours.
Yeah, we would have that flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions from council?
Was there any other additive bid items or just that one?
That was the only one. And staff was, again, those are kind of high dollar items. And then our attempt to pare the project down to try to make it fit a budget, we decided that we'd make that a bid item, an additive bid item. And in the event that it looked like the bids were coming in too high, then we could say, well, we don't want to put the flashing beacons in. But with the bids results that we have here with S&H, we're thinking it'd be a good idea to go ahead with the additive item.
So, a couple other questions. This is the first time we are working with this company?
Yes, it is. Yes. Okay. We were concerned with the one bid, and we contacted District 9, let them know of our concerns, that we only had one bid. We didn't want to get in trouble with the feds and just awarding to a single contractor. But they said as long as they comply to meet the DBE requirements and their qualifications check out, that there wouldn't be an issue.
Okay. And because previously when we bid this out before, we had different people that bid on it, but they had made some errors in their bids?
Yes. The prior problem was the amount of work that they claimed. The percentage of work was under that which was required by federal regulation, as well as the DBE requirements. A good faith effort, I believe, was the problem. Didn't meet a goal, or there was a good faith effort that was lacking.
And so that company just decided to bow out then?
Yes, they did not respond to our request for bids or notice of going to bid.
Okay. Thank you.
Any others? Public comment, please.
Good evening, Richard Wagner. So I didn't see a map of the proposed crosswalks. You said there are 7. Could you possibly list those 7 locations?
Yeah, I have to recite from memory here.
Well, that's okay if you don't have it. Is there a place I can go find that?
Oh, yeah. We've got our improvement plans that show that. Yeah, I'm afraid I don't have them all committed to memory. I could probably get through maybe 5, 6 of them, but
that's okay.
from memory. But and they're all crosswalks at uncontrolled intersections, where it's where there isn't a stop sign.
Yeah, but they are current.
It's
crosswalks.
Uncontrolled intersection, and so for pedestrian safety, these rapid flashing beacons and the type of striping that we're putting down and advanced signing is far superior than what we have there now.
Right. They're current crosswalks?
The Lost Forest School, going across Lost Forest.
Uh-huh.
Your mic's off.
Well, I was told when I leave a mic on the way, it does feedback. So the one that goes across Lost Forest for the Lost Forest School, there at, I think it's Sierra View.
Sure. Okay. The rapid flashing beacons, are those standing signs or in the ground? Are they planted in the ground?
No, these are pole mounted.
Okay, good.
And
Because I've seen
push button activated.
The reason I question is I've seen the ones in the ground don't last but maybe 6 months. The vehicles really tear them up. So I'm glad that they're standing. Did we get the cost on that additive bid item?
Yes, it was $7,000.
Additional seven. That's nothing. I did have one other question. It's evading me right now. I apologize. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, Megan Richter, Ridgecrest. I just had a couple questions. Did you guys set a timeline in the contract for when this work's to be done, and is there any kind of punishment for the contractor if it's not done in that certain amount of time?
Yeah, there's a 30-day contract window, 30 business days, and liquidated damages are set at $500 a day.
Okay. And then have you guys seen an increase in near pedestrian misses? Is that the incentive to get the flashing crosswalks, or is it just simply something that everybody else has started to do?
We made an application to Caltrans for upgrading these crosswalks, knowing that we have these uncontrolled intersections at schools. We felt that that is a safety issue to be proactive and try to put the best engineering standards and practices forward for protecting school children at uncontrolled intersections.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, Mike Neal. Hello, I want to applaud the addition of the flashing beacons on these crosswalks. I think that's an excellent idea for two reasons. One is that we all know that the road striping doesn't really last that long. I had occasion to complain to another city in Texas about road striping that was essentially non-visible. This was on speed bumps they decided to put in. So you go along, and even though you're going meeting the speed limit, you hit this bump when you should have slowed down, but you didn't even know it was there because the striping was the same color as the road, and ours do that. And we've been told again and again. I mean, maybe we're going to use the lay-on stuff and not just. Are we going to just use paint? It's going to be painted stuff, or just going to be the thick stuff that's laid on there?
Yeah, we're using the thermoplastic. We wanted to try to have something that had some longevity, where our street crews aren't out there every year repeating.
Okay, great. Well, that's even better. But just for the safety fact, and the reason we're putting a crosswalk in is safety for pedestrians, and the flashing beacon hopefully gets people's attention, a lot more, and does increase that safety factor. It's well worth it.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other additional comments from council? Okay, motion.
I move approval with the changes amended in the handouts Lauren provided.
Second the motion.
Please vote. Five ayes, motion carries.
Okay, item number 3, award a construction contract to S&H Civil Works to construct an all-way stop intersection improvements to South Down Street at the Bowman Road intersection, HSIP, in the amount of $75,000 plus an additional $7,500 for the 10% construction contingency, and authorize the city manager, Ron Strand, to execute the contract. Sir.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, council members, again, I have a number that got away from me, and it was kind of a similar mistake that was made on the amount to award the contractor. And again, this shows up in item 1 of the staff report and item 1 of the resolution. The heading for the staff report is correct, and the heading in the resolution is correct. We just wish to make the correction in the body of those reports. So I have copies to hand out to you.
Thank you.
Heather, I have a copy for you too. Honorable Mayor and council members, we're asking you to award. This is an HSIP project for our always stop intersection improvements to South Downs and Bowman Road. And again, the same history there. We had this out to bid as a separate project. The bids came back too high, or we had bid irregularities that we weren't able to award. So again, we bundled this with the crosswalk project, and again, we had one bidder, and that was S&H Civil Works. In this particular case, we opened the bid on October 1st, and again, just one bidder. We found that the bid amount was within our budget. We're not asking for any additional matching funds in this case. These HSIP projects are 100% funded, so we are within budget. We're not asking for any additional funding. So very simply, that's where we're at with this project. Is we'd like to get this awarded and get the contractor started as soon as possible. We'd like to accelerate that, if at all possible, to see if we can accelerate a pre-construction meeting and get him started on that intersection right away.
That was going to be my question, was how soon were they going to start on this?
Well, it's really they would have the ability to set a schedule. It'd be us to request an accelerated schedule. There isn't a schedule required. There is a contract term required. We do have a 30-day contract time on it, 30 business days with a $500 liquidated damage. But it would be our request to see if they could accelerate their installation of the improvements for the intersection.
And I had asked Bard, just as a sidebar, that it's unfortunate there was no way we could take the overage on the HSIP funds from this project and apply them to the other project.
Yeah, unfortunately, we asked that question, and these are individual, separate grants, and they have a piggyback that says intersection on it, and a piggyback that says crosswalks, and they don't like moving money from one piggy bank to the other. So.
Okay. Any other council questions or discussions? Public? Okay.
Good evening, Barbara Tunget. Thank you all for being here. I have a good friend of mine, and maybe yours too, that was in a serious accident recently, a couple weeks ago at the intersection of Ridgecrest Boulevard, and I believe it was Downs. Some people will automatically say that this is a hazardous intersection, but it really isn't. Some dude broke the law by running a red light and crashing into the car she was riding in. So they did not obey the law. The law was not run. They broke the law. I'm sorry, I'm nervous. Why, I don't know at this point. Was it alcohol or drugs, or just not thinking of where or what they were doing? Further down the road, we have the intersection of Downs and Bowman Road, and we have the intersection that has been declared hazardous intersection. I remember that intersection being there like 30 years from now, and I don't really remember any accidents happening there till recently. I use that intersection frequently myself, and I have never had a problem. I made a point of driving recently, coming from the opposite direction that I usually go, and went the other way. And it was very open. Nothing there to prevent you from seeing the intersection, and it does have the flashing yellow lights. So why is it so dangerous? I really don't think it's the intersection. I think it's the people driving the cars who are causing the dangerous intersections. It is known that people drive while they are texting and reading, and texting, calling someone, that is against the law. Just as the person who broke the law by running a red light, it's against the law to text while you're driving. It's against the law to be reading while you're driving. And as I was just talking with Ron, it's also against the law to be holding your cell phone and talking while you're driving. It's okay if your hand's free. So, okay, back to my situation here. It's also against the law if you've had too much to drink or taken drugs. People have so much on their minds nowadays that maybe they're just not into just thinking about driving anymore. When you are behind the wheel of a car, you should be concentrating on driving your vehicle, not on 10 million other things. I have no idea what caused the recent accidents that have happened there, but I'm sure RPD has investigated and they just know exactly what's what. Another problem is taking marijuana. It doesn't matter if you take it because of medical reasons. It's a drug. And if you have taken it, obviously you should not be driving. There is a recent article in Imprimis, a publication by Hillsdale College, January 2019, volume 48, number 1, by Alex Bernenson, on marijuana, mental illness, and violence. They say continual use of cannabis can be very dangerous. So if you have been taking cannabis, you may not realize, like when drinking alcohol, you may not be as alert as you think you are. There can be many reasons why the possibility and the problem of the intersection of Downs and Bowman Road, but it's not the intersection itself. There is so much going on in the world today. So please remember when you are driving somewhere that you would like to get there and the other people on the road would like to get there too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Seibel. I've been trying to get here for a long time, not for this issue. I'm going to leave some notes for something that I've been trying to get done for quite a while. But as far as Bowman Road and Downs, my daughter lived out in that area for a year and a half, so I was driving that intersection constantly, and yes, it's extremely dangerous. If you're looking to the right, there's trees and bushes in the islands that distracts from your vision. And if you're looking to the left, if you're headed west, I'm sorry, if you're looking to the left, you could think that you're clear. You look again to the right and look to the left. There's a hill that is about a block away. And when you're looking to the left, you can't see that car until it's coming into the top of the little hill, the little rise. So it is an extremely dangerous intersection. But my main question is, I'm sorry, came late today. What is all-way stop? What is that? Is that a blinking stop sign?
Four-way stop.
Every side of
Four-way
the
stop.
intersection will
Everybody.
stop.
I'm sorry.
It's a four-way stop.
Stop.
All
Okay.
way is four-way.
With the blinking lights
Yes.
on the stop signs.
Yes.
Okay. I must be from the wrong generation, but how does that cost $75,000 to put in two more, because I already have two there, to put in two more stop signs that are blinking? That's my question.
The project entails more than just the stop signs. There's advanced signage, street striping, and we're redoing the median that's there. There's a turn pocket for people to turn off of Downs onto Bowman Road. So there are other improvements that are necessary there to make that intersection more visible with striping, reflective pavement markers, advanced signage, and of course the signs. So,
Okay, so it's
and
basically
unfortunately,
signs.
with prevailing wage rates, it doesn't take long for equipment, labor, and materials to mount up. So, I'm afraid we're in that.
75,000 doesn't go very far. Okay. Yeah, and also, are these solar?
Yes, that's correct. These are solar.
They are solar. Okay. Okay, I appreciate your help. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, Council Mike Neal. First, I want to start off saying thank you, Bard. Thank you, Lauren, for making this happen. It's unfortunate we had to have the verbal tussles over did we need this or not before getting to this point, but that doesn't involve either of you two. As far as whether the intersection is actually dangerous, I think is a demonstrated fact by the number of accidents that have occurred there, and like I've pointed out numerous times, these aren't 35 mile an hour impacts. These are 50 mile an hour impacts demonstrated by one vehicle being flipped over in one incident, and demonstrated by the fact that our very staff in the grant application stated that this was a dangerous intersection, had more incidents than the other intersections in town. So having taken care of the always stop when we get it in, regardless of how people drive, the city will have done what it can, and if somebody does run a stop sign, they're only going to get hit at 10 or 15 miles an hour max. So probably won't be sent to the hospital with those like they have in the past. The other things that I'm sure that you guys will do, but I'll just state that since this is a new stop, I hope that from both directions approaching the intersection, at least one on Bowman and one on Downs, so we're going to have some text messages up there at least 2 weeks before the stop signs are put in, so people will know they're coming. So then they're used to sailing down Downs. They're going to know they're going to have to get ready to stop there. Is that we're going to do that?
Yes, sir. You're absolutely correct. We did, and that was one of the bid items, is to have advanced message boards in advance, 2 weeks in advance, to let motorists know that there's going to be a stop intersection.
Okay, very good. And hopefully the city Facebook page will have that edition, news item, put that on there, and the newspapers will both put that in there so that people will know. I mean, obviously, I've taken issue with almost everything Mr. Strand has said on this issue in the past, but do not take issue with the fact that when you put in new stop signs, you're going to have people run them inadvertently just because they're not used to them being there. So they need to know that's coming at them and be ready to stop. And hopefully we will not ever again have any 50 mile an hour collisions on that intersection.
Thank you, sir. Okay, is there any other discussion? Okay, motion?
I move approval.
A second.
Please vote. 5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, the next item, committee reports.
There's number 4.
Number 4.
I'm sorry, I did skip that. Discussion of provide guidance to the city's representative on the board of the Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority. Scott?
Yes, we have a meeting tomorrow. I don't have any recent further updates on events within the GA, so if anybody has any direction from the council, I'm open to hear.
I just had a quick question about the overage, the financial situation, and what's being done about that.
That is probably one of the biggest discussions right now. I mean, it's been in the paper, so it's definitely, I think everybody's aware about it. But so the board is looking into the financial situation of the GA and looking at ways to offset and create a more balanced budget. So that's currently in the works right now, but it is one of the main topics on, I think, for discussion and on the agenda with the board.
Okay.
Anybody else? Any public? Okay. All right, now we will go to committee reports. Finance Committee, Scott? You meet the third Thursday.
Yeah, we have not met since the last meeting,
Okay.
so it's coming up.
Infrastructure?
Next Thursday, we meet next Thursday.
Okay, Economic Development Committee?
Yes, we met last Wednesday. We discussed the ICSC conference that they just went to. Things look like they're still moving forward in a positive direction with Chipotle and Panda and Panera. So hopefully that continues, as well as Grocery Outlet and Marriott and Holiday Inn as well. We also discussed, we were looking at hiring Buxton Analytics for some additional data to look at bringing other companies in. And unfortunately, we were hoping to partner with RACVB and possibly the Chamber, but at this time, because of the earthquakes, other things presented themselves, so those other groups won't be able to partner right at this moment, so that's kind of on hold. And then the Main Street America program, we're still going to hopefully look into that more and have more conversations with some of the downtown building owners on if they're interested in that program. So,
Okay, thank you. Parks and Rec?
we did not meet.
Youth Advisory?
No.
RACVB?
We did meet, and but I'll give the complete report at the next meeting with all the details.
Okay, other committees, boards, and commissions?
Bard and I are heading over to Kerncog tomorrow. He's going to attend the regular meeting with me, and then we're going to have a meeting with Aaron to talk about different projects. There's a controversy going along right now between Caltrans and Kerncog. They're trying to postpone 14, the two last projects on 14 to make it 4 lanes, and move that money over to the 58 coming out of Bakersfield to put in a couple truck lanes, because any of you that have come back from Bakersfield, I'm sure most of you have gotten behind a truck doing 2 miles an hour faster than the other truck, and you're stuck behind him for quite a while. So we're going to work on that. And so I told him I don't mind postponing a little bit, but I don't want to totally do away with 14.
Okay, no comments. All righty. The next, other commissions or boards, anybody? Okay, city manager's report.
This is more of a committee report. I just wanted to mention that Measure V finished their report for the year. It was not presented at council. It was given to council to review. Council